Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, if you search straps like I do, and that's a tongue twister, if you search straps like I do, you're going to come across all kinds of neat things. And whatever you choose to keep is up to you. Remember, you're not going through straps trying to turn a profit. You're doing this because you enjoy the hobby. You enjoy pulling out notes that have interesting serial numbers. You may find stuff that is rare and does have some value that once you have a couple of, you may want to choose to sell. That doesn't mean that everything you save has to be worth a fortune. But I'll tell you this. Sometimes you may find something that just perks your curiosity and not think anything of it, and you'll put it in a sleeve, and eventually you'll come back to it, and when you look at it again, you may rediscover things or discover things that you weren't aware of the first time. And that's a good thing. So if you do search straps, go back through your box of oddities and take another look with some fresh eyes and see if you don't come across anything that you may have missed or may have misdiagnosed. Is that the good way to put it? Maybe. All right, I'll get to that later. Here's my 1,000. Let's get these out of the way. Let's take a look at what we found. What I found this week. Found a stripper note. Actually, I don't think this one's a stripper note. I think this was a tip from a bar, because this portion of the note is just fine. And this portion of the note is actually really thick and hard. Like something got spilt on it and it got dried up. So you can kind of see through it a little bit, but at first glance, I thought it was a stripper note, and then I tried to peel it apart, and I'm like, no, that's not it. So probably just a damaged note, but I thought it was interesting. Got another note like I had last week where the black portion has been completely worn away. Now, once again, on a note like this, first they print the back, and the back actually does have raised ink, okay? Then when they print the front, all the pressure they use to force the paper into the grooves causes the ink on the front to be raised, but because they used all that pressure, it flattens down all the ink that was on the back. That's why the back of the notes are always so smooth, and the front of the notes, when they're crisp, you can actually feel the texture. But then when they stamp the serial numbers and the seals, they push those into the paper, which means once a note starts to wear, the black ink is going to wear first, then the paper, and then finally the ink that was pushed into the paper. So yeah, you see a lot of notes like this. They aren't worth anything. If you find one of these crisp, uncirculated, and it looks like this, that might be an insufficient inking error. But once the note is in this kind of condition, there's no way to prove if the note is worn out or if it was insufficiently inked. Therefore, it'll never get the error designation. I found a birthday note. It's backwards, 1994, and it looks like October 30th. And yeah, wrong order, but if that was my birthday, I'd be happy to see it. Found a trinary, so close to being a really impressive note. This is 0s, 3s, and 4s. If that 4 was a 3 or if that 3 was a 4, you would have a binary radar. I found one that was a star one time. You guys have seen that one recently. Anyway, just a trinary, nothing exciting there. This is 0s, 6s, and 8s, 1s, 4s, and 6s, 0s, 7s, and 9s, quad 1s. Once again, quads and trinaries have no additional value. I just save them hoping to match pairs. So quad 1s, quad 2s, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 7s, and it's also a trinary. You still want 6 in a row before you actually see any value, but you don't see too many of these, so I always make sure to point them out to you. Some star notes, 2017A, always check, see if they're filled. 2017A, 2017A. There's a lot of hype about stars going away. Once again, if you have hundreds of anything, how long is it going to take for those to actually be worth something over face? What if there are hundreds of millions of them printed? There's a lot of hype, but there's not a lot to back it up. There's a lot of people trying to sell them. There's a lot of people buying them thinking that they're hard to sell. But don't get caught up in that. Don't be buying stars, because there's still plenty out there, and there will always be millions and millions of them out there. All right, 2017 star, 2013 star with a heavy one. Oh, that one is dark. Oh, yeah, that's worth $1 million because it's an error on a replacement note. No, not at all. Some older notes, 2003A, 2003A, oops, two stuck together, 2001, 2001, 2001, 1999, 99, 1995, not a web note. 95 in really good shape, actually, for a 95. And a 1988A was the oldest note I found, also not a web note. All right, so that's what I found. What did I pull out this week? Well, I was trying to get some stuff in order for a previous top 10 list, and I stumbled across a note, and I'm like, that's interesting. Why did I pull this? And I started looking at it again, and I couldn't find anything with the serial number, meaning it wasn't a fancy serial number, but I did notice a portion of the serial number didn't look right, and I immediately dismissed it as damage. All right, what am I talking about? I want to show you guys this. Now, if you look at the serial number, it looks normal until you look at this side right here, okay? Now, on this side right here, you can clearly see only half the 7 is there. And once I see this under magnification, as I'm going through on the camera, I'm starting to re-feel the doubt that I saw the first time. But I don't know 100%. So I wanted to show it one more time because, like I said, when I find stuff and I find it interesting, I'll set it aside. I'll revisit it. Now, it would be real easy for me to sit here and say this is an error because only half of the 7 has been printed. But if I look real close, underneath the 7, you can kind of see just a little bit of green ink there, and I don't know how close I can get before the camera starts to blur it. I mean, if I go real close, it's obviously going to blur. But anyway, what I'm getting at is there is clearly a portion of the 7 missing. So now the question becomes, is that an error, or is this some kind of damage to the note? And if we look at this one, you can see, how it's supposed to look. That side is full. Obviously, there's other 7s in here, so we can compare these 7s to this 7, and we can see that there is nothing there. If I hold this up to the light, I was looking to see if you can see through the note, okay, right here. So right here. So we're talking about this area here, and by holding it up to the light, you can kind of see, there's the A right there. But with all this ink here, you can't really tell. Now, what I was looking for when I was doing that was to see if the paper was thinner right here. Because, like I said, even under this kind of magnification, I can't tell. Now, one explanation for what this could be is called a paper pull. That's when, let's say you put a small piece of tape right here and then pulled the tape off, and that piece of tape grabbed the top layer of paper and ripped that off. That would give you that kind of an image. But looking at this, even under this close of magnification, it's very difficult to see if there's any damage to the surface of the paper. Now, I am definitely not going to say that this is an error, and I am definitely not going to try to sell this to anybody or claim that it's worth any additional money. I am simply saying that I stumbled across this note that I had pulled, and this was not in this search, by the way. I had found this and set this aside a while ago. But once again, coming across it, I wanted to look at it again with fresh eyes. So my first thought, even in making this video, was, I bet that's a real error. And then now seeing it under magnification once again, it looks almost like right in this area here. But then again, that could just, no, that's the back shining through. I keep starting and stopping sentences. Let me grab a pen and show you. I was going to say right here, there appears to be, it looks like the paper might be thin. And then as soon as you do this, the light shines through and you can see that exact circle right there is actually part of the pattern on the back of the note. That's this right here on the back of the note shining through. See? Right here, the blank. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I will tell you this. I am going to keep the note. I'm not going to sell the note to anybody because I personally can't verify that it is truly an error. I don't really feel like forking out $40 to have it graded, because if it is an error, what's it going to be worth? Probably not more than $50. So it's not worth it to grade, and it's just a neat add to the collection. There's nothing wrong with adding oddities like this to your collection if you find them. The trick is, don't go out buying them unless you're truly a gambler. Because if you pay money for this, like I said, odds are it's nothing. And I don't want you guys to get hoodwinked by someone else trying to tell you it's an error. There should be... The best way to put it is, the easiest explanation is the most likely. And the most likely explanation for this, or the first thing that comes to mind, is this is a paper pull. Since that's the most likely scenario, or the easiest thing to come up with, that is probably the most likely one. Anyway, that's what I've got for you guys this week. If you learn anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.